Hey, say the truth always comes out, but they never tell you what happens when it does. The moment the gun went off, the room exploded into chaos. Harris hit the ground, clutching his side, his face twisted in pain. Gavin let out a strangled gasp, his body slumping forward over his desk. Blood dripped onto the papers scattered across the surface, papers that had been meant to bury me. And Evelyn? She didn't move. Her eyes stayed locked on me, calculating, analyzing, waiting. I kept the gun steady, but my mind was racing. One shot had shifted the entire board, and now it was anyone's game. Harris groaned, struggling to stay conscious. His hand pressed against the wound in his side, dark red spreading across his shirt. He wasn't dead. Not yet. I had seconds to decide. Run, fight, or make a deal with the devil standing in front of me. Evelyn took a slow step forward, her hands raised, her voice smooth as ever. "You just turned the tables," she said. "But what's your next move?" I didn't answer. Not yet. I was still working that part out. "I'll give you some free advice," she continued. "You're outnumbered, outgunned, and if you think you're walking out of here alive without a plan, you're dead wrong." She wasn't bluffing. I could feel it in my bones. There were more pieces on the board that I hadn't accounted for. Harris wasn't working alone. Gavin wasn't the only one pulling strings. And Evelyn? She had known too much from the start. I took a breath. "What do you want?" Her lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Same thing you do. A way out." I didn't lower the gun. "You want out? You're the one who set this up." She tilted her head. "I set the stage. Harris played his part. Gavin played his. But you were the wild card." I glanced at Harris. He was still conscious, his eyes darting between us. He was listening, calculating. Even now, bleeding out on the floor, he was still dangerous. I had to move. "You said I have no way out," I said. "Convince me otherwise." Evelyn sighed. "All right. Here's the truth. Harris wasn't working just for Gavin. He was working for people bigger than him. People who don't like loose ends. The moment he doesn't report back, they'll send others." "How long do we have?" She checked her watch. "Maybe 20 minutes, maybe less." Damn. I weighed my options. If I ran now, I wouldn't make it 3 blocks before someone put a bullet in my back. If I stayed, I'd be their scapegoat. Unless I flipped the script. "You're right about one thing," I said. "I'm the wild card." And then I moved. Before Evelyn could react, I grabbed the stack of documents off Gavin's desk, the ones with my name all over them, and shoved them into Harris's coat. His eyes widened in shock, but I didn't give him time to speak. I reached for Gavin's office phone, dialed a number I had memorized weeks ago, and put it on speaker. "Detective Harris?" The voice on the other end was sharp, professional. One of his handlers. I glanced down at Harris, who was barely able to keep his head up. I pressed the phone closer to his face. "You might want to explain yourself," I said, loud enough for the line to pick up. There was a pause on the other end. Then, "Harris? What's going on?" Harris tried to speak, but his voice was weak. I leaned down, my own voice cold. "Tell them the truth, or I will." He swallowed, pain and fury warring in his eyes. I didn't need him to talk. I just needed him to hesitate. Evelyn caught on fast. She stepped forward and spoke, her voice urgent. "We've been compromised. Harris is wounded. Gavin's down. The package is secure." Another pause. Then, "Understood. Extraction inbound." Click. I hung up the phone and looked at Evelyn. "That buys us time. But not much." She nodded. "We need to be out of here in 5 minutes." I turned to Gavin. He was still breathing, barely conscious. He wouldn't be a problem. Not anymore. Evelyn moved first, grabbing a duffel bag from behind the desk. She tossed me a fresh burner phone, then another object, car keys. "There's a black sedan 2 blocks over," she said. "Clean plates, full tank." I hesitated. "And what about you?" She smirked. "I have my own way out." I studied her for a moment. This woman had orchestrated a setup that nearly destroyed me, and now she was handing me my escape. "I don't trust you," I said. Her smirk widened. "Good. Trust will get you killed." I nodded once, gripping the keys. "See you around." "Not if I see you first." I stepped over Harris, who was still trying to piece together what had just happened, and slipped out the back door. The air outside was cold, the night thick with fog. My heart pounded as I kept my head down and moved fast. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to disappear. But as I reached the car and slid into the driver's seat, I hesitated. Evelyn had let me go. But why? Harris would take the fall now. The pieces had shifted, but the game wasn't over.